Welcome back. It's time to talk business with Matthew Warren. Hello to you, Matthew. So we're going to start out with all the data actually that was knocking around about Europe yesterday.
Yeah, lots of information yesterday. Europe was giving some news about the economic outlook for the continent yesterday. Gave a series of figures looking at growth or otherwise, and we can take a look at those and see that a few countries managing to deliver some positive growth for 2012, hopefully. But if you just look at Eurozone countries, there's a slight contraction and some countries really struggling. Greece, of course, and Portugal down at the bottom there.
Quite obviously divided into two halves there, but there's been some encouraging news from Germany. Tell us about that.
Yes, now the German IFO index, this is a monthly index that gives the level of business confidence in Germany. That was good yesterday, that was up, that's the fourth month running as well that's been up, and that helped lift the euro yesterday on the markets.
It's all about confidence, isn't it? And has it also helped to lift the markets as a result?
Well, the markets, let's take a look at Asia because it was a bit choppy earlier in the session today, but as we look at how things are wrapping up, Nikkei's closed, the others still open. They're all in positive territory. Good news on US jobs yesterday. The jobless claims was at its lowest since March 2008, and that helped the US markets as well.
Now, how do you solve a problem like Greece? After months of negotiations with its private bondholders, the Greek parliament has approved measures to cut the amounts that it owes them. It's just one of a series of hurdles that Greece needs to clear before it gets its hands on its much-needed bailout funds. William Edwards has more.
They've cleared the first hurdle, but there are many more to go. On Thursday evening, Greece's finance minister welcomed a deal which will see private bondholders write off over 70% of what his country owes them.
Greece has now been given a window of opportunity. We must take advantage of it. We're not finished. We can begin again on better terms. We must not repeat mistakes. We must not have any delays, and we should leave no room for doubt.
This is just the first of many steps that need to be taken in the next few days. According to the Financial Times, EU creditors want Greece to pass 38 specific measures before the end of next week. The ambitious plans include major changes, such as centralising the country's health insurance system, cutting spending on pharmaceuticals by over €1 billion, and completing an accurate land registry. However, these may seem a tall order, given the country's track record so far on following through with reforms. Taxi drivers were among those who protested at attempts to open up closed professions, such as their own, stalling that legislation. Efforts to reform healthcare procurement were also derailed after doctors and pharmacies went on strike, meaning only half of last year's planned savings were made. Meanwhile, the country's privatisation plans have so far proven to be over-optimistic. The worry is that in an increasingly volatile political environment, cuts and reforms will only get more difficult to make, particularly with elections set for this April.
So a few more hurdles for Greece to hopefully vault over at some point, Matthew. On the agenda again today, though, when finance ministers meet in Mexico.
Yes, these are the G20 finance ministers getting together. Greece, of course, will be on the agenda. The other important thing is the IMF. They're going to be looking at how they can put more money into the IMF fund. They're looking for $600 billion to go into that. Some countries, Canada and the US, are saying we'd like to see Europe do a little bit more to strengthen its own funds before we agree to do that. So we can expect over the weekend lots of discussion and potentially arguments about those.
So sort out your own backyard first, they seem to be saying. Right, let's pick up now on a few more of the day's business stories in our news in brief. Apple's considering whether to hand back some of its $100 billion cash pile to investors. CEO Tim Cook said the company had more than enough cash to run and was in active discussions about what to do with it. The annual shareholder meeting was the first since the founder Steve Jobs' death back in October.
Oil prices hit a new high on Thursday in response to ongoing tensions with Iran. The euro-denominated price of Brent crude hit a new peak. The high oil price could undermine fragile economies in Europe by hitting consumers' purchasing power and eating into corporate profits. Official data also shows oil consumption in Europe is set to drop in 2012.
China could be on the path to loosening its tough capital controls. The Financial Times reports the country's central bank proposes giving foreigners much greater access to both stock and bond markets within a decade. Chinese leaders have been concerned its financial system is still too fragile for rapid liberalisation.
Now, Spain has the highest unemployment rate in Europe, and around half its young people can't find work. For the first time in 10 years, more people have been leaving the country than entering. And chief amongst those are young people who are leaving to find better work. Let's take a look.
Despite the labour reforms, Laura has made her decision. For the final year of study for her master's degree, she will leave Spain and seek work abroad. The goal of this young woman, who will qualify as an aeronautical engineer next year, is to avoid at all costs the Spanish labour market.
The first job here as an engineer is always an internship, and if I stay here, I won't earn more than my current salary as a station attendant, a job that funds my studies.
Laura refuses to work for 800 or 1,000 euros per month, as do the 300,000 young Spaniards who fled Spain since the crisis began. So she'll leave. Her first choice is Germany, but given the competition, she'll also consider Brazil.
This is the list for those who want to spend their Erasmus year abroad in Germany. There are 123 applicants for only 44 places. My plan B is Brazil. It's a country where there are many jobs for engineers, more than in any European nation.
48% of under-25s are unemployed in Spain. The new labour reform is positive, but it won't solve the problem of youth unemployment, says this economist, who believes the education system also needs completely reforming.
We are facing a double imbalance. We have those who are very qualified but who don't find jobs because while firms need qualified people, they don't fit the profile. And on the other hand, we have unqualified people doing jobs which normally require qualifications.
The new measures are mainly aimed at reducing the taxes for employers who contract young people. And while Brussels is so far satisfied with the efforts made by Mariano Rajoy's government, it is waiting for even stronger decisions to be taken to tackle structural problems.
Now let's wash down all the business news, Matthew, with a cheeky tipple.
Yes, well, we'll wash it down if you're partial to cognac. Are you partial
Which I'm not at all. I should say I am. Make me sound refined, but I'm afraid I'm not.
Okay, well,
you?
this man was... Oh, yeah, I do. And this man really liked it. He bought a couple of bottles of vintage cognac about 40 years ago, Dutch businessman. He then, that sparked a desire to collect the bottles, which ended up with him owning 5,000 bottles. And we can see some of them there, worth a cool 6 million euros. But now he's decided to sell them. In amongst this collection is one bottle that's worth 138,000 euros, if you can believe it.
Someone going to pay that? I mean, he's obviously an aficionado and
yes.
He's, made a sound investment, but is someone going to shell out that much?
Well, it's incredible. It's from 1795, and you do have to wonder, what's that going to taste like? That's over 200 years old. There's another one slightly older, 1789 bottle. That's the year of the revolution that was made. That's going to cost a bit cheaper, actually, 49,000 euros.
Maybe a museum will snap that one up.
Exactly. He's selling it because he promised his wife he would at a certain age so they could build a new house. So
and go on a couple of holidays around the world, I think, with that money. Thanks very much, Matthew Warren, for bringing us all the latest business news. That's it from me for now. Live from Paris continues with Lorna Shaddick after the break.